Hey everyone, and welcome to my very first Draw With Me video. My name is Vanna, I'm a primarily digital artist from the Netherlands, but today I'll be working on some Hades fan art on this little wood slice with some POSCA pens. I also thought that this video would be a great opportunity for me to answer some questions that people might have, because I also run my own art-related business. So I took to social media to ask if there were any questions that people wanted answered, and I picked out a couple good ones, I think. So let's just dive right in and answer those questions. So the first question I received is, art often starts as a hobby. Does making it your profession ever make it less fun, or the opposite? This is kind of a complicated answer, because it kind of goes both ways. It is both really fun and I enjoy it a lot. I'm also diagnosed with ADHD. I got diagnosed as an adult, and the variety in the work that I get to do is incredibly stimulating for my brain. It keeps me engaged and that makes me very happy. But it also comes with the added pressure of having to create and having to do less fun things, like maintaining stock and doing boring back office stuff for businesses. So that's kind of like the downside of it. But all in all, I don't think I would really trade it for anything, because I really enjoy getting to do a bunch of different stuff and play around with different medias and make different kinds of merchandise. Like, there's always something new to learn, and that's something that's incredibly stimulating to my brain and incredibly fun. And so yeah, it's a bit complicated, but it's also really tough when you do eventually get art blocked, because everyone gets art blocked, but when it's your business, ooh, that's always scary, because sometimes it feels like you'll never be able to create again. I think that's also very important to point out, that it's okay to take breaks sometimes. I feel we've gotten into this like social media culture where we feel like this pressure to be posting fully rendered illustrations every day, which is just not feasible. Like, maybe if you have like a wave of inspiration, which I've been on recently, and I've been just pumping out new stuff and it's really fun and exciting, and I'm so happy to share it, but there's also times where I don't know what to create for weeks and it sucks. So it's very complicated, because I do very much enjoy making this my profession and having all the variety in the work and the variety in the merchandise I create and the artwork I create, but it's also really scary and tough and frustrating at times. So it's a bit of both. I think the most important part is know your limits and know when you can push your limits and when you need to take a step back to rest and, restore. So the second question I received is, what is your favorite drawing or product that you have made? Oh, I find this really hard to answer. I'd say when it comes to drawing, it's probably my most recent fully rendered piece. The reason I pick that is simply because I just feel like every time I put out a piece like that, there are things that I've improved and there are things that have changed stylistically. I like to see progress in my work, so I think that my most recent fully rendered piece would probably always be my favorite. Although, gotta say, sometimes you gotta let it stew for a day before you actually like it again after staring at it for a very long time. As far as favorite product goes, that's also a bit tricky, but I'm very proud of like the Plague Doctor washi tape that I made. I kind of like all the Plague Doctor stuff that I've put out. I think it's cute. It's all based on the same illustration, but I just like the way that product line looks, basically. And I'm also very proud of the candy bag charms that I did. They're not very popular, but I like them. I think they're quite cute. So the third question I received is, what are your plans for your business in the next couple of years? Ideally, I would like to be able to live off of my art alone. I currently still have a part-time job at a game store, which I do like, but ideally I would be completely self-sustaining and would no longer require the part-time job. I would also like to grow my Patreon a bit more, because Patreon could allow me to quicker transition to being fully independent, to being a fully independent artist, because having that monthly income security would really help. I would also like to do a lot more conventions, because I got a little bit unlucky. I did my very first convention at the end of February in 2020, and ever since then there has been no more conventions. So let's hope once everything opens up again that I can also just do a lot more conventions then, and it would be so nice to see people face to face and have little chats, and I do really miss it. So the next question I received is, what kind of music do you listen to while drawing? This is a relatively easy question to answer because it really depends on the drawing. I listen to virtually any genre, but with me, I always listen to something that reflects the mood of what I'm trying to draw. If it's something video game themed, I'll try and listen to soundtracks off said video games. I'm a huge fan of soundtracks anyway. But if I want something punchy, I'll listen to some more punchy music. If I'm drawing something very gothic, I'm gonna listen to a lot more gothic music, you know? So it really just depends on what I'm drawing, but that's usually the kind of music I listen to. So the next question I received is, what do you think is the hardest part about making an art piece? Oh boy, this really depends. I know a lot of people hate doing line art, but I kind of love doing line art. I think colors might be the most complicated, but I really struggle with anatomy, and I do like to draw characters. So maybe it's anatomy sketching? Yeah, I think I struggle the most with anatomy, so I think getting anatomy right is probably the hardest part for me. Other than that, yeah, no, I think that's my biggest art struggle. So the next question I received is, what kind of merch that you've never made before is still on your to-do list? Oh my gosh, if I had the funds, I would make enamel pins, I would make backpacks, I would do everything. No, like, that sounds like so ambitious, but genuinely, I don't think there is any type of merchandise that I would not enjoy making. I really want to do enamel pins, but I'm very intimidated by it. I've been thinking about doing foiled prints, which looks so pretty, but it uses a program that I've never used before, and I'm a little bit terrified to get into that. I want to make t-shirts and bags, and I've literally considered like starting like an eat a bag Kickstarter, but then I realized I have like zero experiences with bag designing, so I kind of just dropped that really quickly. But yeah, like there is so many things that I would still love to do, and maybe I will, who knows. Maybe I'll overcome my fears and still do it. So the next question is, what is your favorite part of making something? Oh, holding it? Does that count? When I've sent it up for production and I've received it and I'm just like, wow, that's my stuff. I did that. It exists now. It is real. Does that count? If it's specifically about the designing process, it's probably either line art or final touches, like when it finally starts to come together. I just love it when it's finished. It sounds so stupid. It's like, oh, is there anything you enjoy about the progress? Yes, when it's done. No, I do really enjoy the process of making things, but there's just something so special about holding something and being like, I made that. It's real now. I'm holding it, you know? There's just something that just makes me feel like a little kid whenever a new product arrives, and it excites me. It makes me happy. So the last question that I have to answer is, what was the weirdest commission you got requested to do? Honestly, I've never had any weird commission requests, and I do consider myself quite lucky. Like, I mostly do character art whenever I do commissions, and it's all been mostly fantasy, D&D characters, that sort of thing. I've enjoyed that immensely. I still enjoy doing that. I love drawing those kinds of characters. But yeah, no, I've never really had like something extremely outlandish or strange or a commission or horror story. I know that eventually, one day, I'll probably have to delete an email with some strange requests, because I've seen other people's experiences. So there are certainly some people with strange preferences on the internet, but thankfully I've never had to deal with such things. Like, all the commissioners I've ever had have been very communicative, have been very respectful, have just been generally wonderful, so I do consider myself extremely lucky that that is the case. So that's all the questions that I had to answer for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider leaving a like, leaving a comment, or subscribing, or all three. Thank you so much if you do. You're the best. And I'll just leave you to enjoy the rest of this art process, and I hope you have a lovely day. Bye!